This is Art 157, Class 3, and what I'm going to be talking about today are movers. Let's get started and look at first what static meshes are. So when you open up Unreal, you've probably seen this window. This is called a content browser, and what it is it's a list of all the available assets that you can use to place into your game. And you can see there's animations, there's materials, there's particle systems, skeletal meshes, which are animated characters, sounds, static meshes, etc. If you want to see where these actually are, if I go to the UDK folder and then I open up content, and I open this up one more time, you'll see there's all kinds of stuff, maps, UT3, and if I go one step further, these are all the character models. So what we can do is if we go to the C drive and go to UDK and open up and go to UDK game, content, and UT3, here are the actual folders, and you can see if I open up, here's my different character packages. UPK stands for Unreal Package. If you open another game, for example Bioshock, they actually have a BPK, Bioshock package. So it's a standard format that Unreal uses. So what's that good for? Well, what we want to do is in order to make a mover, you cannot use a brush like we've been doing, and that just won't work. So you need to bring a static mesh. A static mesh is basically anything that's made outside of the game engine. And you can see there's all different types of static mesh. For instance, this is a city that you put to create the illusion that you have a city in the background. You can see all these different things. I actually use the limiter of the static mesh to only see the certain types. Now we're going to use just a basic one. So let's go find the cube. And if I want to bring in a normal static mesh, I just literally drag it. And the reason we're not seeing it is because we just drug it into the scene. But you can see there's my object I just added. The problem with the static mesh is when you go to play in the game engine, it doesn't do anything. It's static. That's what the name means. So we don't want to do that. What we need to do is instead do a right click, and we'll choose the options. And here's one called Interp Actor. Interp Actor is basically an old name of movers. So if you hear me say movers or interp actors, they're basically the same thing. Okay, so now we have added the box, and once again I'm inside of it. So let's reposition it. So I want to bring it up, over, and then down, and then we can zoom in. This down, and then we can do a scale. I'm gonna. Okay, I changed mine to 50%. And let's go one more. Okay, so now it's the same width. And now, if you look, I got two viewports just so when we actually go to play the game, it's a little easier. So anyway, you can see now there's my mover. So let me do a build all and build the level. Okay, no errors that we haven't seen before. And I'm going to do play from here. Okay, I've created. There's my new shape right there. And if I go to walk, what happens? I fall through it. Well, the reason I fall through it is the first thing that happens with an interp actor is if I open up, let me close all these up first. I can go into collision, and when you bring one in, its default is collision is no collision. So you want to do block all, and what that does is now it'll block everything, weapons, people moving, etc. You don't have to rebuild when you do that. It's nice. You just literally come back, walk. Now you'll see I can walk across it, and I'm not falling in at all. But it's still not moving. So there's a couple different ways to move it. I'll show you the most basic one. So if we come in and we close out collision and we open up movement, and every object has this, but it has to be an interp actor. So you're going to see right now there's this physics interpolating option. If we go and we change it, we can change this to rotating. And then if I do the rotation rate, if I do it, now think of an airplane. A roll is basically when the airplane rolls off to the one side or the other, basically dips one of the wings, the other wing comes up. Pitch is basically when the nose of the airplane goes up and down, and yaw would be only if the plane's on the ground turning around, that would be a yaw. If it was up in the air doing a yaw, chances are it was going out of control. So let's just add 1 to the pitch, And let's go in and play and see what happens. You can see very, very, very slowly that this is rotating. So this is good for fan blades, different items like that. So let's go in and increase this to 10. And now it'll move a little faster. Do another play from here. Now we have something that moves a little faster. And the bots usually can figure out what to do with this. So let's add a player start right here. And add a path node right there. And now we got to build everything again. Okay, close. And I'm just going to do play from here. Yeah, that's a little handy. I can do tab, invisible, true. Okay, so now the bot can't see me, but if it touches me, it'll see me. Add bots, it'll start firing at me. And there goes the bot, and the bot goes back and forth between the path nodes. And occasionally it will stop or try to jump. This is a pretty short area. If it was a bigger area, chances are it might fall back. But you can just see kind of what the basics are with that. Okay, so we'll keep that in place, and now what we're going to do is we're going to create another mover. And this one is a, let me pull up my view content browser again. Go back, grab my cube, highlight it, right click, and do add actor, add interp actor, and we're inside the cube again. Do the same repositioning. So let me zoom out and bring this down and bring it actually around here. And then what we're going to do is, I gotta get centered in the top view as well. Now we can do our scale and make it nice and skinny. And now we have a door that we just created. Now this door isn't going to do anything at this point. If we want to activate the door, all we're going to see is if we want to go right now, we just go right through it. So first thing we need to do F4. We don't want to do any movement to it at all, but we do want to turn on all the collision. So lock all. And now at this point nothing's going to happen. So we need to add some other elements to this. We need to add a thing called a trigger. So if I right click and choose add actor trigger, now we have, I'm going to maximize viewport so it's a little easier. So now you can see that we've added the trigger and it's sitting right there. I'm going to pull it up and hit the N key to drop it down. And what you usually want to do with this is you want to try to get it kind of in the middle, so that right now anything that touches here will get it. If you want to be more accurate, you could actually, I need to turn snapping off because it's jumping too much. Enable snapping, and we want to make it skinny, but we want to make it long at the same time. Actually, I need to do this in another viewport. Sorry about that. Okay, it's not letting me scale in both directions for some reason, so something's up. Okay, so we're just going to have to leave it at that size. That's the one drawback. All the collision geometry for triggers is always that shape. So it's neither here nor there. Okay, so let's now we have to do something with it. Now the way that we program or do simple scripting is we go up to K for Kismet. And Kismet is a visual programming system that comes with Unreal. And it's really powerful. It takes a little bit of time to figure out, but for doing basic things it's pretty easy. So we have this trigger. We're going to right click and choose new event, which is basically something that happens in the scene, touched for trigger. So basically when this trigger is touched, it's going to fire, and when it's untouched, it's going to fire. Now, just to show you what happens if I open up sequence object, which is, this is basically the item, and I do trigger fired, and I do output the screen, you can see it changes the name because that's what the object comment is. But if I do a play from here, and I go, and we're not going to see it right now, you can see it says triggered fired. So let me just relocate my light real quick, or just add another light. It's probably just easier. Add actor, point light, and let's just pull this up. And then the thing is this says S for static, so anything that moves is not going to get illuminated. So if I want this light to actually illuminate other things, I need to go into light component, light channel, and enable dynamic. And that's going to help it. Also, if you want cast dynamic shadows as well, you can enable that. So those are the two things you need to turn on, and now it'll work. And you'll actually see that it now changes to a U. It was an S before. Okay, so let's do a build all. Close. Down, put a run. Okay, trigger fired. Okay, so we have the basic script. Now we need to get the door to actually move back and forth. We'll select the door, right click, and now we have to add a thing called matinee. Now a matinee is what they use for cinematics. And they're pretty simple to use. They're very powerful. You can do lip syncing, all kind of stuff. But all we need to do is basically add the matinee to this item. So it's touched matinee, and then the matinee will actually animate or play the door moving. So how do we do that? We open up matinee, which is double click. First thing is you want to do a new empty group. You can name this whatever you want. I can say door mover 1, and then that's basically like a folder, if you will. And then what we want to do is add a movement track. You'll see there's all kind of different things. You can toggle lights on and on. You can change colors. You have controls of everything. And what it is automatically added a key, and you can see right here is a yellow, and it's also telling you what frame. So now we'll grab the scrubber, left mouse button over the scrubber. It's kind of hidden in the beginning. And now we'll go to 1 second. And I'm going to pull the door up. And this is the add key icon. And I'm going to hit that. And now you'll see if I move the scrubber back and forth, it goes up and down. Now if I hit play, or let's do loop selection, it goes up. You can see it's keep on going to this area. Now if we zoom out, if we look at this, you'll see this actually goes all the ways to 5. If this is the preview, between the green and the red is basically what happens when you actually go to play it. So even though I'm only seeing 1 second, it would take 5 seconds to basically complete the animation. So I'm going to switch this over to 1 second. And some people, if you want to pause up at the top for a while in case someone runs through or those types of things, you can add that. There's other ways you can do it. But now we have the basic setup for that. And now if I hit play and loop, they're synchronized and we're good to go. So now we can get this to play. So I have touched and play all set up. I will do play from here. And I will go over to the door. Door opens. And now at this point, I don't have it doing anything to go back down. So there's a couple ways to do this. When it's completed, you can tell it to reverse, which is to go back. And let's see if that works. So we go up. This one up. Oh, I fell off of the scene. Play from forward. And it comes back down. And now the thing that happens, you'll see it only fired 1 time. So in order to get that to change, if we need to choose the touch, and if we open up, you'll see there's different options. And the one that we want is sequence event max trigger count 1. That means it only fires 1 time. So you can do 0. And also, if you want, you can have a delay. So I could say that this only fires every, 2 seconds, which means that you'll have a 1 second animation, and then it'll hang it for a second, and then it'll come back down. So let's do play from here. Okay, so we have our door going up and down. Now, if we want a bot to actually be able to see through this, we actually, I'm actually going to change this. There's a bunch of ways. You can do untouched. So let me show you another way. Break links. So you could say when it's not touched, it reverses and it goes back down. So let's do that and see if that works. So I'm going to go touch, untouch, back down. So in some ways that's easier because then you can stand under it forever. You don't have to worry about it. Okay. Anything else to do there? Well, a couple things we can do is if you want, we can add a sound. So let's go back and do open the content browser and turn off static mesh and do sound cues, which are particular types of sound. And what we want to